put it to the place. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should first offer respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Sri Vyasadeva, the author. Shinvatam Swakata Krishna.
Shinkata Krishna
Punya Shravana Kirtanaha.
Punyan Kirtanaha
Vidyantasto hi Bhadrani.
Vidyantasto Bhadrani
Vedunoti Suritsatam.
Vedunoti Suritsatam.
Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma Supersoul in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, plans his desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Nasta Prayeshu Bhadreshu
Nasta Prayesha Bhadresu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagava Sevaya
Bhagavati Uttamasloke
Bhagavati Uttamasloke
Bhagavanistiki.
Bhakti Bhagavatinistiki.
By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service to the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. So, we have a reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 7, entitled Scheduled Incarnations, around verse 23. Asmat
Asmat
Prasada
Prasada
Sumukha
Sumukha
Kalaya
Kalaya
Kalesha
Kalesha
Asmat Prasada Sumukha Kalaya Kalesha
Asmat Prasada Sumukha Kalaya
Ikshvaku
Ishvaku
Vamsha Avatirya Guru Nideshe Ikshvaku Vamsha Avatirya Guru Nideshe Tishtan Vanam Sa Dayatanuja Avivesha Tishtan Vanam Sa Dayatanuja Avivesha Yasmin Virudya Dasha Kantara Artin Archat Yasmin Virudya Dasha Kandara Artim Archat
Yasmin Virudya Dasha Kandara Artim Archat
Asmat No, not do the whole thing. Asmat Prasada Sumukha Kalaya Kalesha
Asmat Prasada Sumukha Kalaya Kalesha
Ikshvaku Vamsha Avatirya Guru Nideshe
Ishvaku Vamsha Avatirya Guru Nideshe
Tishtan Vanam Sadayitanuja Avivesha
Tishtan Vanam Sadayitanuja Avivesha
Yasmin Viruda Dasha Kandara Artim Archat
Yasmin Virudya Dasha Kandara Artim Archat
Asmat Prasada Sumukha Kalaya Kalesha
Asmat Prasada Sumukha Kalaya Kalesha
Ikshvaku Vamsha Avatirya Guru Nideshe
Ishvaku Vamsha Avatirya Guru Nideshe
Tishtan Vanam Sadayitanuja Avivesha
Tishtan Vanam Sadayitanuja Avivesha
Yasmin Virudya Dasha Kandara Artim Archat
Yasmin Virudya Dasha Kandara Artim Archat
One more. Asmat Prasada Sumukha Kalaya Kalesha
Asmat Prasada Sumukha Kalaya Kalesha
Ikshvaku Vamsha Avatirya Guru Nideshe
Ishvaku Vamsha Avatirya Guru Nideshe
Tishtan Vanam Sadayitanuja Avivesha
Tishtan Vanam Sadayitanuja Avivesha
Yasmin Virudya Dasha Kantara Artim Archat
Yasmin Virudya Dasha Kandara Artim Archat Asman Prasada Sumukha Kalaya Kalesha
Asmat Prasada Sumukha Kalaya Kalesha
Ishvaku Vamsa Avatirya Guru Nideshe
Ishvaku Vamsa Avatirya Guru Nideshe
Tishtan Vanamsa Dayitanuja Avivesha
Tishtan
Avivesha Yasmin Virudya Dasa Kandara Artim Archat
Yasmin Virudya Dasha
Yasmat prasada sumukha kalaganesha.
Ikshvaku vamshavatiriya guru nideshe.
Ishvaku vamsa avatirya guru nideshe.
Ishtanvanam sadaitanuja avivesha.
Ishtanvanam sadaitanuja avivesha.
Yasmin virudhya dashakandara artimacha.
Yasmin virodhyata sakandara artamacha.
Asmat prasada samukha kalaya kalesha.
Asmat prasada sumukha kalaya kalesha.
Ishvaku vamsha vitirya guru udeshe.
Ishvaku vamsa avatirya guru nideshe.
Ishtanvanam sadaitanyaji avivesha.
Ishtanvanam sadaitanuja avivesha.
Yasmin virudhya dasakandama artamacha.
Yasmin virudhya dasakandara artamacha.
Ashmat prashada sukha kalaya kilesha.
Asmat prasada samukha kalaya kalesha.
Ishvaku vamsha avatirya guru nideshe.
Ishvaku vamsa vitirya guru nideshe.
Ishtanvanam sadaitanuja avivesha.
Ishtanvanam sadaitanuja avivesha.
Yasmin virudhya dashakandara artimarcha.
Yasmin virudhya dasakandara artamacha.
Asmat prasada sumukha kalaya kalesha.
Asmat prasada sumukha kalaya kalesha.
Ishvaku vamsa avatirya guru nideshe.
Ishvaku vamsa vitirya guru nideshe.
Ishtanvanam sadaitanuja avivesha.
Ishtanvanam sadaitanuja avivesha.
Yasmin virudhya dasakandava artamacha.
Yasmin virudhya dasakandava artamacha.
That sounds like everybody's done. Everybody else? Word meanings. Asmat,
Asmat,
unto us,
unto us,
beginning from Brahma down to the insignificant ant.
beginning from Brahma to the insignificant ant.
Prasada,
Prasada,
causeless mercy.
causes mercy.
Okay, works. Okay. Sumukha,
Samukha,
so inclined.
so
Is
inclined.
it too loud?
Maybe.
It's going too loud. Kalaya,
Kalaya,
with his plenary extensions.
with his plenary extensions.
Kalesha,
Kalesha,
the Lord of all potencies.
the Lord of all potencies.
Ikshvaku,
Ishvaku,
Maharaj Ikshvaku,
Maharaj Ishvaku,
in the dynasty of the sun.
in the dynasty
Vamshe,
Vamshe,
family.
family.
Avatirya,
Avatirya,
by descending in.
by descending in.
Guru,
Guru,
of the father or spiritual master.
of the Father of the Spiritual Master.
Nideshe,
Videshe,
under the order of.
Under the order of
Tishtan,
Ishtan,
being situated in.
being situated in
Vanam,
Varam,
in the forest.
in the forest.
Sadaita Anujaha,
Sadaita,
along with his wife and younger brother.
along with his younger brother.
Avivesha,
Avivesha
entered.
entered.
Yasmin,
Yasmin,
unto whom.
unto whom
Virudhya,
Virudhya,
being rebellious.
Being rebellious.
Dashakandaraha,
Dasakandaraha,
Ravana, who had 10 heads.
Ravana,
Artin,
Artin,
great distress.
great distress.
Archat,
Achat,
achieved. I
Achieved.
guess you're supposed to pronounce both those C's. Archcha. It's a little tricky. Okay, translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Due to His causeless mercy upon all living entities within the universe, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, along with His plenary extensions, appeared in the family of Maharaj Ikshvaku as the Lord of His internal potency, Sita. Under the order of his father, Maharaj Dasharatha, he entered the forest and lived there for considerable years with his wife and younger brother. Ravana, who was very materially powerful, with 10 heads on his shoulders, committed a great offense against him and was thus ultimately vanquished. Please repeat. Due to his causeless mercy upon all living entities within the universe,
Due to his causeless mercy,
all living entities within
All the entities of the universe.
the Supreme Personality of Godhead,
the Supreme Personality of Godhead,
along with his plenary extensions,
along with his plenary extensions,
appeared in the family of Maharaj Ikshvaku
appeared in the family of Maharaj Vishvaku
as the Lord of his internal potency, Sita.
as the Lord of his internal potency, Sita.
Under the order of his father,
Under the order of his father,
Maharaj Dasharatha,
Maharaj Dasharatha,
he entered the forest and lived there
he entered the forest and lived there
for considerable years
for considerable years
with his wife and younger brother.
with his wife and younger brother. Ravana,
Who was very materially powerful,
who was very materially powerful,
with 10 heads on his shoulders,
with 10 heads on his shoulders,
committed a great offense against him,
committed a great offense against him,
and was thus ultimately vanquished.
and was thus ultimately vanquished.
In purport. I'm going to take this section by section and talk about it, because I figured out the sections. So first paragraph. Lord Ram is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and his brothers, namely Bharata, Lakshman, and Shatrughna, are his plenary expansions. All 4 brothers are Vishnu Tattva and were never ordinary human beings. There are many unscrupulous and ignorant commentators on Ramayana who present the younger brothers of Lord Ramachandra as ordinary living entities. But here in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the most authentic scripture on the science of Godhead, it is clearly stated that his brothers were his plenary expansions. You got a dictionary and want to look? Can you look up plenary? Plenary, I'm pretty sure it means equal, but I'm going to just hear it read. Full potency or something like that. Including everything. Originally, Lord Ramachandra is the incarnation of Vasudeva Lakshman. Lakshman is the incarnation of Sankarsana. Bharata is the incarnation of Pradyumna, and Shatrughna is the incarnation of Aniruddha, expansions of the personality of Godhead. Lakshmiji Sita is the internal potency of the Lord, and is neither an ordinary woman nor the external potency incarnation of Durga. Durga is the external potency of the Lord, and she is associated with Lord Shiva. I'll stop here for a moment. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight knowledge. Now offer my respectful obeisances unto him. So, this verse is talking about I know plenary is equal, but somehow I just want to see, do you have it?
Merriam-Webster says, complete in every respect, absolute, unqualified.
Okay.
The second one is fully attended or constituted by all entitled to be present.
Okay, good. So, plenary expansions mean they're equal to Krishna. Okay, not exactly, because Krishna being Krishna has 4 extra qualities that make him like the unique, original, his intimate pastimes. But other than that, the Vishnu expansions are equal to Krishna. So they have 60 qualities. The only reason there's 4 more qualities is Krishna has this personal expression, yeah?
Synonyms: complete, comprehensive, entire, full, grand, intact, integral, perfect, total, and whole.
Okay, now we know everything. Thank you. So, these are plenary expansions. The Vishnu expansions are plenary expansions of Krishna. Balaram is non-different from Krishna because it doesn't have those last 4 things, because that makes Krishna uniquely Krishna. But as far as potency, and all the expansions
come from Balaram. No, not all. Krishna expands himself as Krishna unlimitedly also. That's how come the rasa dance happened, so he could demonstrate that on earth too. So he expanded himself to be personally present with each gopi. So in the spiritual world, there's quadrillions of souls up there, and they don't all have to wait quadrillions of years for a turn to see Krishna, because Krishna expands himself unlimitedly and he's personally present with all of them. So they all have the intimate relationship. So, and Balaram is the first expansion from that level of Krishna. The Balaram is equal to Krishna in every way, but his bodily construction, I think it means like his color is different, and because he's white instead of deep bluish. And he serves Krishna, and he expands. All the Vishnu forms come from Balaram. And he expands into 4 forms. And they expand again into 4 more, and then they expand into all the forms. So this is quite interesting, and it seems rather geometric and mathematical, like somebody sat down and charted the possibilities. But these are, spiritual truth is sort of geometric. So the second or third verse of the Brahma Samhita is the same. It describes the quadrangular, spiritual world, and there's these, but it really is talking about aspects. So aspects balance out, and so you can make a geometric shape out of it because things balance out in different directions. So all options are taken up. So to make it geometric like this or mathematical is sort of metaphorical to express it, but it's just truth too. Because Krishna expands into four or Balaram expands into the Chakravyuha, or the quadruple expansions. Each one of them is just a little different as far as, taking care of this. Like in the creation, Aniruddha is the mind, Sankarshan is supporting everything, Krishna is the Lord in the heart, Vasudeva is the Lord in the heart, and what is Pradyumna do? Intelligence. Okay, mind, intelligence, supporting everything. So anyways, this all are different aspects of the creation. And these different roles that they play, a little bit different moods, different things they cover, but they're identical in a way, and they're all equal. So there's this, actually, the second expansion of quadruple forms is the expansion that appeared in Ayodhya. The first are actually Dwarka expansions. A little bit closer to Krishna. Dwarka is a little bit closer to Krishna, a little bit more intimate, relaxing than Ayodhya, where simply in Ayodhya, Lord Ram is simply the perfect king. He has one wife, he's the perfect king. Krishna has many wives in Dwarka. So it gets, a little different. It gets more like this, Krishna Loka, Goloka Vrindavan. So anyway, this is the second quadruple expansion. And in the spiritual world, they expand more into different forms, and they're in all the planets, the Vaikuntha planets and everything. So, but they're equal to Krishna in power and potency. So it's quite interesting to understand this. And so it says that some people say that only Lord Ram is God and the other, his brothers are not. So that's not true. They all are. They all play a role, and they're all the Supreme Personality of Godhead in different aspects. And Lakshmi Sita is the internal potency of the Lord. That means she's an expansion of Radharani. She's a goddess of fortune, and Radharani is the original goddess of fortune, but her role is has more expression to it, Radharani's does. Then the goddesses of fortune are more formal, a little bit more submissive and so on to Krishna. So Durga is also an expansion, but Durga is like Shiva. Shiva's an expansion too, but he's in a different group because he's dealing with the material energy. So Sita, but within Sita, she contains everything. So she contains Durga. So that'll come out later in the class, and I'm going to read about that. So anyways, so that's the Chatravyuha, the quadruple expansions, and they all 4 came down to Ayodhya to be 4 brothers and have these pastimes. So why do they have these pastimes? Okay, next verse. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 4:7, which I will read, Yada yada hi dharmasya galanir bhavati bharata Bhutanam Adharmasya Tadat Manam Shujamyaham. Whenever and wherever there's a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and the predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. Of course, where is he now? He's in the Holy Name, he's in Prabhupada's books. So, and he's working. He's doing something about the irreligion. So, okay, finishing this paragraph. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 4:7, the Lord appears when there are discrepancies in the discharge of factual religion. Meaning not just any old religion, but real religion. Not just some made-up one. No, you just put factual is. Lord Ramachandra also appeared under the same circumstances, accompanied by his brothers, who are expansions of the Lord's internal potency, led and by Lakshmaji Sita Devi. So the next paragraph explains this incarnation purposes situation. Lord Ramachandra was ordered by his father, Maharaj Dasharath, to leave home for the forest under awkward circumstances. And the Lord, as the ideal son of his father, carried out the order, even on the occasion of his being declared the king of Ayodhya. To explain that for a second, if anybody doesn't know this already, Lord Ramachandra was this eldest, and he was about to be crowned king on that day. One of the wives of Maharaj Dasharath, the mother of one of the brothers, got under some bad influence, and she made some demand that her son be crowned king and Ram be sent to the forest, and she did it on the plea of an old favor that her husband owed her, and he couldn't get out of it. So he broke his heart, and he had to ask his son Ram to, instead of being crowned king, go to the forest. So that was the situation. One of his younger brothers, Lakshmanji, desired to go with him, and so also his eternal wife Sitaji desired to go with him. The Lord agreed to both of them, and altogether they entered the Dandakaranya forest to live there for 14 years. During their stay in the forest, there was some quarrel between Ramachandra and Ravana, and the latter kidnapped the Lord's wife Sita. The quarrel was... Where's the quarrel exactly? Well, the quarrel was, well, for one thing, Ravana was attacking the sages in the forest, and his minions were attacking the sages in the forest, for one thing, and then they attacked Ramachandra, Sita, and Lakshman. Some part of their army attacked them due to Ravana's sister starting something. So anyways, okay, the latter kidnapped the Lord's wife Sita. The quarrel ended in the vanquishing of the greatly powerful Ravana along with his kingdom and family. So this is telling the story of how Ravana got rid of because there was irreligion. Ravana was he was very powerful, and he was not a devotee. And he did bad things. But he got his power legitimately by conquering. And in the material world, if somebody is powerful and can conquer, they have. Just like in business, if somebody conquers another business, there's nothing you can do about it. You can say, give me my money back. Well, if they use the principles of business and conquered the business, then you lost your business. So the same thing with armies and leaders that conquer lands and everything. So Krishna always has to have some, because he respects this rule, he always has some clever way of doing it. There's some thing will arise, more or less like giving the demons enough rope to hang themselves, so then he can legitimately kill them. So in this case, Ravana stole Sita. And so he was legitimately able to fight and kill Ravana. And other cases, what are some others that are down here, examples? Like Nrsingadev killed Hiranyakashipu because Hiranyakashipu, he had won by conquering. He was in the heavenly planets, he had control of the universe, but he tried to kill a devotee, pure devotee, his son. So then Lord Nrsingadev came out of the pillar to protect the pure devotee. So Varaha challenged Hiranyakashipu to battle. Not just kill him, he could just kill him, but he challenged him to a battle. And he won legitimately that way, according to the rules. Krishna had a pastime to reduce the burden, and he got rid of reduced the burden of the earth, and he got rid of some of the demons because they attacked him. Okay, that's legit. You can kill somebody who attacks. And then he got rid of all the rest of them by having a great big war. And he didn't really cause the war. The war is like giving enough rope to hang yourself. So there was Duryodhana and there was Dhritarashtra, and they did their politics, and they got worse and worse. And so they had their evil desires, and they created this war in which the burden of the earth was killed off and the burden was relieved. So, of course, now it's by the holy names, because the demon is within the devotees. You can't kill all the demons without killing all the devotees. So we have the holy name. Krishna came in the form of this holy name and these books, and so the demons getting purified that way. So that's that subject. Now the last paragraph. Sita is Lakshmiji, or the goddess of fortune, but she is never to be enjoyed by any living being. She is meant for being worshipped by the living being along with her husband Sri Ramachandra. A materialistic man like Ravana does not understand this great truth, but on the contrary, he wants to snatch Sita Devi from the custody of Rama, and thus incurs great miseries. The materialists who are after opulence and material prosperity may take lessons from the Ramayana that the policy of exploiting the nature of the Lord without acknowledging the supremacy of the Supreme Lord is the policy of Ravana. Time out here that people want the goddess of fortune, but they don't want to worship God. Just like we want Ramraj, the kingdom of God without God in it. There's people who just don't want to give to God what they want to take. Ravana was very advanced materially, so much so that he turned his kingdom, Lanka, into pure gold or full material wealth. But because he did not recognize the supremacy of Lord Ramachandra and defied him by stealing his wife, Sita, Ravana was killed, and all his opulence and power were destroyed. So now we have this situation. There was a... Should I read or just... maybe I'll just tell the story and find it in here. Let's see. What do you want to read?
You know, I heard once that Kuvera was his brother, like a stepbrother to Ravana, and that city was actually Kuvera's. It was already made of gold, and he just stole it from Ravana. His stepbrother, you know, the Manigriva and Nana Kuvera's father.
I'm catching up because I was looking at this. I'm not registering what you're saying. Could you start again?
I'm just saying that you know, that it's often been said that Ravana built this city of gold, but I also heard that there's another version of that he stole it from his stepbrother Kuvera.
Oh, okay.
That his mother said, "Come on, why don't you look at your stepbrothers? They're doing things. They have cities of gold. You know, come on, do something. You're my son. You know." She was egging them on, and he arranged some trick, and he stole that city from Kuvera. Which was already, you know, because he's the treasurer of the demigods. He had great wealth. Kuvera didn't want to stand up to Ravana.
So he outsmarted him and he won, but still it was kind of like legitimate. He
It was
the
definitely legitimate thing.
rules of the Kshatriya life.
Well, yeah. And also just might, right, his mind, right?
I wrote down the numbers wrong. I'm just going to have to tell this story because I wrote the numbers wrong, and those numbers don't exist in the chapter they're supposed to be in. So, this is from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, that on Lord Chaitanya's tour in South India, he came across a Brahmana who invited him for lunch. But it turned out this Brahmana, he had a few ingredients, but he didn't cook them. He just sat there, and Lord Chaitanya asked what's happening, why are they sitting there? And he said, well, if Lord Ram cooks it, then it'll be cooked. And it said, for some reason, there was a verse that said that Lord Chaitanya was pleased with this method of cooking. I don't understand that verse. But anyway, but it continues that finally,
Is coal soaking?
I don't know what happened, but this Brahmana was actually having a crisis of faith. And so Lord Chaitanya kind of encouraged him. Oh, it was because of his doubt, his crisis of faith was about Sita. How could Ravana touch Sita? Sita is transcendental. She's a goddess of fortune. She's Lakshmi. How could a demon like Ravana touch her and take her? And that was like giving him problems with his faith. So he couldn't seem to bring himself to cook. So he did, after he told Lord Chaitanya this, Lord Chaitanya said actually she took shelter of the fire god Agni, and it was Maya Sita that Ravana took. So Brahmana felt a little better hearing this, so he cooked. And then, so Lord Chaitanya went on his travels, he went to a temple, and he found it written on a palm leaf, this exact story. So he wanted that palm leaf. So he traded it with a new copy. He arranged for a copy to be made, and the temple got the new copy. And he took the original copy back to that Brahmana, and he gave it to him. And the Brahmana read it, and he was so happy that Sita took shelter of the fire, took shelter of the fire god. And it said when she was touched by Ravana in there, but I read another account before she was touched, when she sensed he was coming, which would account for how come she all of a sudden said horrible things to Lakshmana, which she would have never said, because she's only pure and sweet, and she never would have said anything bad to Lakshmana. But all of a sudden she told Lakshmana, "You want your brother dead so you can have me. I know what you're up to." And it was so out of character, and Lakshmana was just so horrified by this that he drew a line, said, "Don't go outside this line," and he just escaped. He just couldn't take it. He couldn't be there. And so of course, then she was taken by Ravana because she stepped outside of the line. Again, some disobedience there. This is out of character for Sita, really, but this was Maya Sita. And Maya Sita was the one taken by Ravana. Looked the same. But the real Sita, who contained Maya Sita, the real Sita was over in the shelter of Agni. So anyway, this was explained to the Brahmana. He became happy, and he invited Lord Chaitanya again, and he cooked up really nice, because he felt his faith was restored, and he had the strength to cook really good. He had the strength and the happiness and enthusiasm to cook really nice for Lord Chaitanya. So this is good to know. It's really important to know, because otherwise I was bothered by Sita's sudden criticism of Lakshmana. Why she do that? He was bothered. How could she be touched by it? So it was good to know this. You had a question?
Yeah, so at what point did she go to Agni?
I saw a thing a couple years ago on Facebook. Somebody put a story from some scripture, and I don't know what. But anyway, she sensed Ravana was in the vicinity, and she was in the cabin, and she looked at the fire and entered it and took shelter with it. And which would explain why why she talked so strangely to Lakshmana. But in here it's like a summarized explanation. As soon as she was touched but she wasn't touched. That was the whole point. She wasn't touched. So it says as soon as she was touched by Ravana. But the point was that Ravana was disturbed that she could be touched by Ravana. So I think it has to be before. So when Ravana came, so she was going to be touched by him. So anyways, she was not touched. She's pure. She could not be touched by Ravana. So the whole pastime happened anyways, and Ravana needed to be killed, and Lord Ram needed a legitimate excuse. So the whole pastime happened, and there was a war, and they were killing Ravana and all these demons and everything. So afterwards, when Sita was reunited with Ram, he was cool toward her. And she was surprised. I guess for pastime she was believing, anyway, whatever. She was surprised that he was cool toward her. And he said, well, if you were touched by another man. So somehow he told her to enter the fire, or she called for some wood and entered the fire. But anyway, then she came out pure, and her whole self, and Ram accepted her happily then. So they were reunited happily. So that's the story about how Sita could be snatched by a great demon like Ravana. One more sentence. Lord Ramachandra is a full incarnation with 6 opulences in full, and he is therefore mentioned in this verse as Kalesha, or master of all opulence. So he's equal. Now I want to tell, this was the last thing I'm going to wrap this up with talking about the Hare Krishna mantra. Now, I had a habit for many years of sort of taking for granted the second part. And and it was really hard for me to think, oh, now we're talking about Krishna, now we're talking about Ram. I found that in the beginning really hard, so I just dismissed that idea. And then I learned that Rama means the reservoir of all pleasure. And of course, originally Krishna is the reservoir of all pleasure, so I just said it's all Krishna. It's all Krishna. And then recently, a few months back, or a year or so back, I saw somebody posted something Prabhupada said, Ram in the Hare Krishna mantra means Lord Ramachandra. So, I had to take a look at that. And also looking it up in the books, I couldn't find it. It's somewhere in a letter or a conversation. But I looked it up in the books and I found out that anybody who argues about whether Hari Rama refers to Balaram or Ramachandra, they're wrong, because Balaram is the source. They're equal. It's the same. They're both right. Balaram is actually the source of Ramachandra, because Lord Ramachandra is in the Vishnu expansion, the quadruple expansion, that come from Balaram. So they're equal. They're the same. So he said that. But another place, he said, let's see, where did I see? Right in favors Ram. Srimad Bhagavatam 9:10:53 sort of favors Ram as Ramachandra. I should try to read that if I can find it. Let's see, my phone will work for me nicely. What is this? 10:53. Getting there, getting there. 12:53. Okay, 9:10:53. When Lord Ramachandra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was the king of this world, all bodily and mental suffering, disease, old age, bereavement, lamentation, distress, fear, and fatigue were completely absent. There was even no death for those who did not want it. It's been a purport that I know. Krishna descends in this Kali Yuga in the form of his holy name, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. If we chant offenselessly, Rama and Krishna are still present in this age. The kingdom of Rama was immensely popular and beneficial, and the spreading of this Hare Krishna movement can immediately introduce a similar situation, even in this Kali Yuga. So it sort of favors meditation on Lord Ramachandra. And because also it says Hare Rama, Hare would mean Sita in this case, Sita Ram, because we don't really talk that much. We don't meditate on Balaram's wife and Balaram. It's not central to our meditation so much. So, and in the original Hare Krishna mantra, actually, Hare Rama came first, and then Hare Krishna. And then it just got switched because it's the same when you're chanting it anyways. So it got presented to us somewhere along the line. It got changed because we need to hear about Krishna. So we need to tell each other Hare Krishna and Krishna mantra with the Hare Krishnas. We're chanting Hare Krishna. So that way it's more mercy for the fallen souls. So it got changed that way. But Hare Rama is Lord Ramachandra, who is the pure king, the father who protects and takes care of. He's ideal, he's perfect, he's not playing any games with anything, he's following the rules perfectly, and very, very, very pure, self-controlled, and his kingdom is all pure, and everybody's protected. So we need that first. Also comes in Canto 9. Krishna doesn't come till Canto 10. It's part of the preparation. So when we chant Hare Rama, we can think of Krishna as Father. And of course he's the seed-giving Father in the Bhagavad Gita, in this material world. In the spiritual world, as Krishna, he doesn't really want to be Father. He's present in the material world as it's in the Vishnu incarnation level, the super soul and so on, and Mahavishnu. Krishna as himself, he wants to be the son, or the friend, or the lover, or the child. So that's what he wants. So as Ram, he's the father, he's the protective father. So we need that first, because here in the material world, he's our seed-giving Father. So we need that first. We need to understand God as God. And that's why the first 9 cantos are there, culminating in Lord Ramachandra, to understand him fully that way. And then we go to Canto 10, and we understand about Krishna. So in the original order of the Mahamantra, Hare Rama, and then Hare Krishna. So, of course, nowadays, Prabhupada has given it to us so that we will meditate straight away on Krishna. But that foundation is there, just like when we do deity service. We do the deities, they're given Radha Krishna names, and we're meditating on Radha Krishna, but we have the standards of Lakshmi Narayan and Vaikuntha. They're very formal, otherwise we would take advantage of this familiarity. So this is the foundation. This understanding of Hare Rama is the foundation for understanding properly Hare Krishna. So that's where I'm ending. Any comments or questions?
Well, my understanding is that the Hare Krishna was what, that order was what Lord Chaitanya gave.
We went back to Lord Chaitanya?
Right.
Okay.
So, but then, just another, sort of on the same vein, without getting into what you just mentioned, but I was listening to a class on the internet, and it had to do with the argument between Advaita Acharya and Nityananda. They play together and they get very critical with one another, and then there's an argument, and it's basic. But the purport of it is that if someone tries to take side in this argument and doesn't understand, basically what we're saying here is God is arguing with God, because Advaita Acharya is God, and he's Mahavishnu, and Nityananda is Balaram. So, and Nityananda is trying to get Advaita Acharya to be like him, and he's like an avadhuta almost. He's like, well, not exactly, but he's completely immersed in Krishna in a different way than Advaita Acharya. So they're arguing like that, and it says that if you think that one is right and one is wrong, or take sides, you'll never taste love of God. You just hear it, appreciate it.
Relish it.
And relish it,
yeah.
It's sort of, it's an incomplete explanation, but I'm just remembering it. I just heard it like 2 days ago as I was doing something else. I was listening in the background, I heard that, and it sort of stopped me in my tracks, because I know this pastime, but then never heard anybody say, well, it's like, basically what we're saying is God is arguing with God. So, there's so many levels to God realization. You can't put God in a box. Here it is, this category, boom. He's unlimited. There's no limit. He can have so many pastimes, so many aspects. And so we just have to relish all what we can, what drops of nectar we can taste occasionally, so we're very fortunate to hear these. It was a very nice way of doing the class. I just wanted to thank you.
Thank you.
But then, one other thing was Muchukunda. When you were saying how God, Krishna tricked people, Muchukunda walks into the cave, and I think it was Jarasandha, and he's chasing Krishna. Krishna's hiding in the shadows. Muchukunda had been given the blessing to sleep, and whoever woke him up, he would look at him with his eyes and burn to ashes. So Jarasandha didn't get the benefit of having Krishna kill him, because he sort of kicked. Muchukunda said, "Get up!" You thought it was Krishna.
Wasn't that
Kalyana.
Kalyana?
Yeah, Kalyana.
He was a Malacha, maybe that's why?
I don't know, but he got killed by Muchukunda, and Krishna was there in the shadows watching. And then all of a sudden, Muchukunda looks over and he sees this dazzling form. It says, of existence personified. This beautiful form, like waves of beauty moving in the cave. And he gets this darshan of the Lord. So but there's a case where he used Muchukunda. He was just walking through the battle, through the armies, and Muchukunda's running after him and says, "Why are you running away from me?" And he's running, please, come on, you chicken. Well, no, he didn't say chicken, but you're that mood. And he's just casually walking along through the battle.
And somehow it's faster and faster.
He's just, So that was another way that he was able to eliminate a burden on the earth. And then there's Bali Maharaj. Vamana comes and just asks for 3 steps.
In Banasura, somehow there was a legitimate battle.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's always according to the rules, somehow. He doesn't just say, "You're a miscreant, zap." He doesn't do that. He does according to the rules that are, in the material world. He plays properly. Give the example of following the rules, I guess. Okay, anything else?
I've said that before when I'm thinking about all these pastimes of Krishna and everything. And I know I heard it in a tape how Krishna, he likes to come, Prabhupada would explain, that to keep his body fit.
Yeah, he likes to.
And also because devotees there in the spiritual world are very submissive and very, oh, I'll do anything you want, Krishna, I love you, whatever you want. And that kind of mentality, consciousness is very nice and everything. But for killing demons, it's so. I mean, not all the time. I can't say all the time, but like Jai and Vijay, they were devotees, but they became very, very powerful demons. That that Krishna came in different incarnations, different ways to kill the demons. So they had that, I guess, curse with them to go 3 times rather than. Was it 7 or 9?
I was thinking about that. They came 4 times, but the curse was to go 3 times.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
that was a little
Chaitanya,
bonus.
right?
Huh?
That was a bonus.
Lord
Yeah.
Chaitanya.
Maybe that was so that they could maybe they were born as demons 3 times, and maybe they became demonic because of their past stuff that they had to get purified of, and that was their opportunity to get purified. I was thinking about it.
But only Lord Chaitanya gives you this level of pure love of God, and so because they were in Vaikuntha as gatekeepers. Now whether they went back is that, but they were now in Lord Chaitanya's Leela.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate.
Do you know what? It's only 8:30, and half the class has left. Even young devotees and everybody has got up and walked out because it's not 8:30.
Well, right at 8:30.
It's not
someone
8:30.
done. It is.
It's 1 minute too. It's 8:29, and people have got up. And sometimes the best parts of a class in the discussion comes at the end, and they've got better things to do. It's not good.
My
Should-
guess is prasad, they're worrying about prasad a lot.
I think they took care of it by now.
I'm sorry?
I think most of them take care of it.
Should-
I think people usually go
should
get
we
the
stop?
sound like between the.
Should we stop
Sometimes
someone
they have to
and
deal with bodily functions, but what can we do?
Yeah.
This is the way it is here.
should you stop someone and say Prabhu?
No.
Sit.
I mean, really.
Maybe we can talk to people afterwards or something, but I just feel like
They used to me. If I got up, they would have
The
said
fact that
that.
anyone here is good too.
what?
The fact that anyone has come at all and listened at all is
It's a good thing.
a good thing.
But there's certain people here who seem to be genuine devotees and interested, and they get up and leave before it's really done. And I don't understand it. Certain individuals are so enthusiastic and they still go.
I don't know.
Well, thank you for a good class.
Yes,
Thank you all for participation, and hoping it'll be a good class.
Prabhupada didn't get up and leave.